A lot of hype surrounding Victor Wembanyama, the projected #1 pick. This is our first real look at him stateside in an exhibition against the G League Ignite, and who many believe is the second projected pick at this stage in the process, Scoot Henderson. And so I thought I would give my initial impressions of these two top prospects. Right away, you assume, look, this kid's going to protect the rim and block shots. He does. But what I'd point out to you is he went and got that with the left hand. And a lot of shot blockers really only challenge with their strong hand. When you can protect the rim with both hands, not only do you avoid fouls, but you're just able to contest and block more shots than you would otherwise, right? Here he is scrambling for the rebound, and then you just watch him walk the ball up, and there's just a comfort level and a swagger that you don't typically see in 7-footers, because, you know, most of the time they're giant kids. They're trying to kind of avoid attention, and they're a little bit awkward. Not this kid. Dripping in confidence, and you can see why with these physical attributes. Watch him hop and get this jumper. You can hop a lot quicker than you can jump or leap. And at his size, there's no reason for him to jump or leap. He can just hop and still be effective. Scoot Henderson, they were comparing him to Derrick Rose. That's a tough comp to put on any guard, but he does have that startling burst, and then you see the big, strong frame, and then he plays with an edge and a toughness. So I'm not mad at the comp, even though I think he is a different player, passes the ball much better at this age. I wanted to watch Wembanyama in some of these pick and roll actions. He's got good instincts, but so much of this is just learning the speed and athleticism of the American players in the NBA, right? And here he is with just a rip through pull up, and that's just butter. That's his true superpower, is his ability to shoot. As is the case with most super athletic guards, Scoot, the question is, can he hit the outside shot? And with all that burst and pop and elevation in his legs, that's usually what leads to inconsistencies. The form is fine. It's not broken. Watch Wembanyama here. This is the one thing I didn't like last night. He doesn't run the floor. In fact, he just doesn't really play with a high motor, as you see in this sequence here. And you get it. He's a giant. But, hey, I mean, Chet Holmgren plays with a higher motor. Similar frames. I do think that Vic is more basketball strong and more athletic, seems to be more on balance than we see Chet at times, but I love Chet's motor. Chet plays harder. You see him just swallowing up that guy trying to get the jumper off, and then Scoop, there's the fearless aggression at the rim. What he's going to figure out quickly, though, next year is he better start getting comfortable using that left hand. Otherwise, he's going to have some bad falls and blocks if he tries to put everything down with the right hand. He seems to like this mid-ranger, but you see the legs and lift kind of causing him to drift. What I was most impressed with Scoot about was his floor game, his want and aggression to defend and then passing the ball. Now, with the eyes on this game, you'd imagine all these guys were putting their best foot forward. But I tell you what, man, if this is Scoot's baseline of effort and intensity, he's got the jaw juice in the sense of his intensity and charisma seems to lift his team. Not only does he have the tools to be a lead guard, but he seems to be a leader. Wembanyama, again, watch the hops. And the hops also allow him to stay in the play because he doesn't jump himself out of it. And then he has such length, he can contest literally from the other side of the rim here in pick and roll coverage. Again, the instincts are good. Watch him flip his hips and start to get downhill on time, but it's a learning curve, especially with the American athletes. And so when you talk about his motor being better, the two areas where I think it really hurts him right now, again, running the floor. Can teams go small and kind of just run him off the court in important moments of games? And then on the glass, obviously he's going to have to get stronger, but because he doesn't play with a high motor, again, the rebounding, I wouldn't say it's at Chet's level either. And I'm using him as the comp because physically that's the closest thing. But on a positive note, great hands and great timing, two attributes that can't be taught. And so when you talk about the lack of a motor or rebounding and strength, like those are things that can be worked on and holes that can be plugged because a lot of it has to do with effort and want. I was also impressed with Scoot's balance of playmaking for others and looking for his. Maybe more John Wall than D Rose, again, because he's much more of a willing passer. And then this is something I'd love to see from Wiseman. Watch how quickly Vic turns his hips. Because he knows, hey, you're going one place. Let me just meet you there. I'm not going to take a bad angle and try to cut you off. And then look at him here, get out on the corner shooter as your 7'4", man. It's not just the foot speed, which is unworldly, but it's also his recognition time. He recognizes things very quickly for a young player. Here he is trotting down the court into a little slip screen. Now tell me this didn't look like KD, right? And then the high release, it's like Randy Moss. He's always open. Even if he's being guarded, he's open at that size and with that release. And then this is what's really spooky. Look, I knew he could shoot the ball well, but the way he shoots it off the move, one dribble pull-ups coming off screens, now you're truly dead to right as a defender. What are you going to show, help, trap? Oh, yeah, he'll probably be able to pass over the top of that if you gauge his feel already. Sheesh. Another example of him just meeting the guy at the rim and being patient, understanding how long he is. He doesn't even have any body contact. Again, much like Chet, able to block shots without any contact or fouls. And then he's got guys seeing ghosts, right? Everybody is hyper aware of where he is and how he can alter shots, and he's altering shots without even jumping right here. And then he's going to come out and get this one to clean it up at the end anyway. As impressive as this move is, I feel like in the NBA, they're going to make him finish through contact and through the paint. They're not going to let him get to these step backs, and they're going to sit on it. I mean, he's going to take it if he wants, right? But they're going to crowd him, and like Harden or Luka, they're going to try and take the step back away from him. Here he is in full transition. And one other huge separator, I think, between him and Chet is this dude is much more of a scorer's mentality. Scoot was serving it up on a silver platter to his teammates, 9 assists. And again, just striking that balance of looking for his and setting up others. Rare in a young guard this athletic, where most of these athletic guards, right, they're just looking for theirs because they can. And I think he's being coached up very well year 2 with this Ignite team. A little weird with the jab rip-through move, but at the end of the day, what are you going to do with it, with that release? Not a damn thing. Here's a rare downhill attack at the rim for Vic. And again, I think this is where the NBA is going to push him defensively and dare him to finish through contact and with aggression. I'm not saying he can't do it, but we'll see, right? Another dime out in transition. This kid, he says all the right things. Is his dad a coach? Is he a coach's kid? That's the vibe I'm getting. And then you can see, here's a good look at his form in transition, gives it up to get it back, right? That's coached up basketball, in rhythm 3 ball. And then how about the defense? Look, as impressive as Wembanyama was, Scoot Henderson was just as impressive, and you could make an argument had probably more of an impact on the game when you consider he's the lead guard for the Ignite, and he was putting the clamps on. He looks like a complete player, man. Look, the shooting is moving in the right trajectory, plays super hard, can operate in the pick and roll, defends, has the intangibles and leadership, and can get anywhere on the floor at any given time. And so, look, man, I'm not going to be the contrarian and say he should go number 1. Wembanyama, I think it speaks for himself when you watch him out here as he gets bullied in the paint. But I just didn't want Scoot to get overshadowed here because all the hype on Wembanyama, because again, he won this game. He just seems like a winner, if you want to just keep it simple. Here was a big Vic post-up. You know, he moves like Evan Mobley, except what is he, like 5 inches taller than Mobley, and then far more aggressive offensively? And then how about this? This is the Steph Clay slip screen that Golden State runs all the time. Back to the basket, flips the hips, and pops it. What did Towns call himself, the greatest big man shooter of all time? He ain't going to hold that title for long with this kid coming. And then you like the mentality from Scoot, but Vic high points this ball, barely leaving his feet. And in one game, he did hit 7 threes. He showed all the footwork in the book, right? Like skip, hop, step in, flat foot. Like he's got all the footwork. The release, it speaks for itself. But here again, he is not running the floor after a defensive possession. Maybe he thought they were going to push it and be fast. So I'll cut him some slack on this one here. But it happened pretty often. But I did like how he got more aggressive down the stretch, flashing somewhat of a takeover gene. And then eventually he's just going to be dominant in drop coverage, much like you see with Rudy, where he can just recover out to you in a startling fashion. Here he is getting out to the 3-point line, and he's going to leak out down the floor. And then listen, man, we're looking at a 7'4" pure jump shooter. Not shooter, jump shooter. On the move, can get it off. Here he was, switched out, goes for the poke. I believe that was his 6th foul, and his team fell short after coming back down 20. But just very impressed with both of these two kids. I think much like Chet this last season, the question is going to be durability with this kid. He does seem a little more basketball strong and athletic. And then also perhaps better self-preservation. He seems willing to make some business decisions out there, and that maybe goes along with the lower motor. It may just make him more durable, but ultimately, look, we wanted to brand Ingram the next KD and then Tatum, right? This kid might just be KD 2.0. Now, granted, not exactly the same. He's not going to be a wing and have those type of guard skills. He's going to play the 5, but he very well could have a KD-like impact offensively when you talk about a 7-foot-plus jump shooter with that type of confidence and thirst to score. I also loved that you didn't get one smile out of him after this game because they lost. He performed about as well as he could. He hit 7 threes, 37 points, but there was no smiles. And so I think that bodes well for his winning mentality. I'm out, y'all.